We need to start being the party of the dive bar. That is where our voters are. Our voters are at the dive bar.
Okay, I love this.
You know, our voters are normal people. They're regular people who just want to have a beer on a Friday night. That's who they are. That's where we need to be. We can't act like we're better than everybody else.
Right.
We are all one people. So get on the bar stool at the dive bar and let's talk.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
So I'm speaking with Adam. Adam, you are with the Young Democrats of Orange County, correct?
Correct.
So we're here at the Bernie Sanders rally. We've got AOC coming. Obviously, a lot of progressives are here. What is your current opinion about what is happening inside the Democratic Party as far as there being sort of a little bit of a battle between traditional corporate Democrats and the young progressives that want to change things?
You know, it's a hurricane right now. Frankly, it's a hurricane. You know, to be very frank, we were knocked on our ass in November, and people all have different opinions on how to get back up. Obviously, us as young people, we have our way of getting back up and being loud and proud and wanting to help our neighbors and having our neighbors be above everything else. That's how we want to do it. You know, other people have different opinions. You know? Some people don't believe in that, but that's what OCYD believes in.
Right. Okay, so let me ask you this. Some people don't believe in that, but I think they're not looking at the data. If you look at the data from November, there wasn't this massive shift to the right. People just didn't vote, right?
Didn't show up. And you know, what's crazy is I've seen, you know, all these tweets and statistics go out that, you know, people swung to the right. And, you know, I did an interview earlier this year and I said, young people just didn't show up because the rent is too damn high. You know, they don't have time to fill out the ballot. They don't have time to make that conscious decision to, you know, how is this actually going to work out when they have to worry about putting food on the table? Rent is $3,000 for a one bedroom in Orange County. You know, what are we supposed to do about that?
No, you can't. I mean, and college is expensive. I went to UC Irvine back when you could go for $400 a quarter. Now it's probably $4,000 a quarter.
It's probably $40,000.
Probably exactly. So I get what you're saying. In fact, we talked to some young voters, or not voters, young people here earlier. They didn't vote at all, and they don't know anything about politics. So my question is, how does the Democratic Party go about bringing these folks into the party instead of just letting them float out there when really the largest voting bloc in the country is non-voters?
Yes. How we do this is we stop being the party of the wine cooler. We need to start being the party of the dive bar. That is where our voters are. Our voters are at the dive bar.
Okay, I love this.
You know, our voters are normal people. They're regular people who just want to have a beer on a Friday night. That's who they are. That's where we need to be. We can't act like we're better than everybody else.
Right.
We are all one people. So get on the bar stool at the dive bar and let's talk.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good strategy. I would say AOC won her election by doing exactly that, right? By knocking on doors, by spending time in local, bars, restaurants, whatever, and really getting in touch with the local voters.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how we ended up flipping a seat in Orange County, defending another seat, or defending two other seats, is we just had real, just kitchen table conversations with people. You know, we aren't people who are going to live on Instagram. My team goes out and pounds the pavement every single day. You know, we had some folks win by like 100 votes because we were out there just having real conversations. And
well, let's talk about some of those elections. Yeah. How did that happen? Walk us through who that is and the.
Yeah. So for Congress, we beat Michelle Steele. Yeah. MAGA Michelle, we beat with Congressman Derek Tran, and that was just an incredible ground game. Same with now Congressman Dave Min, Congressman Mike Levin. Those were all competitive battleground seats that were won on the ground. Having genuine and I knocked for all three, and just having genuine conversations with people who are fed up with Republican leadership. They may not, you know, folks who don't spend a lot of time in these spaces may not know that their problems are from Republican leadership, but you know, once you talk to them about, hey, you know, the Republicans want to make your life worse, like actually worse. So, you know, you may have never voted for a Democrat before, but if you want the quality of your life to get a little better, start voting blue, you know, maybe in some local elections as well.
No, and I think I think what you're saying is right. There's two different arguments here. There's the argument that the elitists in the Democratic Party are making that the party needs to keep shifting right in order to capture like the Liz Cheneys of the world. I don't think that's true. I think that's false. What you're talking about is actually talking to voters that might not have any sort of deep attachment to either party.
Yeah.
are kind of sort of fed up with the way things are, but maybe their parents voted Republican, so they're like, okay, I guess I'm a Republican.
We have so much of that in Orange County. So much. Folks who don't know that they're Democrats or, ideologically Democrats, their parents, it's Orange County. So their parents were probably Republicans. And so they just registered as Republicans. But they believe in Medicare for all.
Right.
They believe in that housing is a human right. And, once you have these conversations and say, hey, this person with the R next to their name on the ballot does not believe that housing is a human right. They only want, your rent to go up because it benefits them.
Right.
They want to make home ownership unattainable.
Right.
That's the reality. That's where we are right now.
All right, so all these people are coming to this rally. What are the next steps? It sounds like you guys already have an actual game plan when a lot of people in the country don't. Hang on, let me also add this, because I think just for people understanding where you're from, Orange County is traditionally a very right-wing county in the state of California. It has been a GOP stronghold for decades. So the fact that they were able to flip some of these seats in Orange County is a big, big deal. Okay, now I just want people to know that.
I think folks need to start talking to their neighbors and having actual genuine conversations. How we've been able to prevent Donald Trump from winning Orange County ever. In 2016, 2020, 2024, he did not win this county once because we pounded the pavement. We have actual ground games here in Orange County. So if you're an organization, start having these real conversations with people who may not be in your club. Go knock the neighborhood that you live in. That's what I like doing. I like going and talking to my neighbors about, do you like that your rent is so high? Do you like that sometimes the parks aren't very great? If you don't like it, then let's change it. And start getting outside of your comfort zone. Have tough conversations with people. And I think something that's important is that everybody's not going to agree with you 100%.
Right.
We are not I like to say that our coalition is not a blanket, it's a quilt.
Okay.
We are a bunch of different ideologies from different upbringings that came together to make this world a better place. And we just need to be more understanding of each other.
That sounds good. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate your time.
Of course.
So let's talk about this for a second, because apparently there is obviously a big disconnect between the DNC platform, what they pass, what they say they support, and what a lot of their corporate members do. This is pretty obvious now, even more so than ever. It's been obvious for many years. For example, Chuck Schumer recently, he's basically just rubber stamping, everything that Trump is doing and not really giving enough pushback to that. What do you feel about that?
No, I think as citizens, as residents, as Democrats, as working people, we need to hold our electeds accountable, and it shouldn't matter what your party label is, right? We voted people because they said they believed in a certain platform, certain ideals, and when they don't hold up to that, then that's when we have to decide, it might be a time to primary somebody, right? No one is entitled to the seat.
Indeed. Let me ask you this, because it's also obvious to me that there's a big chunk of the Democratic Party is basically trying to say that the reason they lost this election was because of progressives and left policy, and that they need to ratchet even more to the right, even though the Democratic Party today is much more to the right than, they were even 10 years ago. That seems wrong to me, given that you've even had trans individuals win local seats in very red districts. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that when you come from grassroots, when you come from the people, when you see the lens from the side of working people, then you'll understand what are the right policies and what will get you elected. And that's why we're out here, and that's why progressives are getting elected all throughout the state of California. We're getting school board members in red districts elected, and we're the ones that are really doing the work. We're knocking the doors, we're making the phone calls, we're doing all the push. And so I think those folks that are up there and feel entitled to the seats, they've lost that vision.
Right. Okay, one last question, because the rally's starting. After this rally is over, what are the next steps? Something has to change here, and do you think a rally is enough, or there are next steps that need to happen in order to get rid of Trump, to reinstall democracy and whatnot?
Oh, the work doesn't stop. We're going to be knocking doors. We're going to be recruiting candidates. I think that's something also we forget, right? Yeah. That people that got elected, AOC is here, right? She's not the model that people envision of what an elected official is, but that is who the elected officials are supposed to be, and they make the best elected officials because they understand, they have the lived experience of the people, and they can stand to the corporate interest because they understand what the people need. And that's what the work. And I'm going to be knocking doors, and I know you'll come knock doors with me.